Hey, sorry about that later today. I had to do a quick light setup after just doing the odds pod because we're back on the odds pod. Got a t-shirt for it. But since you've been so kind to wait for me today, I am going to get stuck into this pretty quickly. Um, I hope you can hear me fine because I had to jump from one thing into the other, and things are a little different on the setup than they usually are. But here we go. We got Miles, we got Gwen, um, upside down in there as they do tend to be upside down quite a lot in New York, Manhattan, and yeah, let's get into this and ink this up as quick as we can. So we're about 15 minutes late today. Apologies. Um, but I'm just going to put out another little thing here. There we go. Actually, I don't need to. We're good. Let's just get into this now. So, again, apologies for being late. Had to be done. I had to scoot around our launch into the odds due to reasons I had at home. But I might do. I think I'll do Gwen first. And gotta remember as I'm drawing this that the light source is actually this way as opposed to that way, because that would be where the ground is. Um, and I kind of want to color this down the road, so I've left so much kind of blank space behind them. It's kind of how I would approach my covers, to be honest. The amount of negative space I leave on screen means I can have more of an impact with a single color. So when it's on the shelf against everything else on a Wednesday, there's a chance that this one will really kind of stand out from everything else around it. There's a little insider trick for you. So we got our tool. We're going to put it back down to 7.1, which is where I like it, and we'll get into drawing this. So uh, yeah, here we go. So big thank you for everyone tuning in last week too, where myself and Dave got to ease ourselves in to the odds pod via the stream here. I think this platform is really good. StreamYard is very easy to figure out, and I think it looks really nice as well. As always, if there's any questions about technique or anything, you can hit the comment section. I'll catch them. I have it highlighted now, and I'm gonna keep doing the stream. I think without the music on in the background. I think it was kind of drowning out my voice a bit. So I haven't really drawn a lot of Gwen before, actually. Just bits and pieces when I can because her costume's amazing. I kind of want to draw her more, but I feel like she's someone I should be more familiar with. I had to look up a lot of her costume for this. Um, which is not something I usually have to do for anyone in the whole Spider-Man realm of things. But there's one little thing about her design, about any kind of Spider-Man that has a shoe. It just used to annoy me, like unless that the writers had like they kind of came up with a reason for it working that they could still stick to walls whether they were wearing runners or not. So I've justified Gwen here wearing her Chuck Taylors, her cons, by scouring down her soles like they were the ballet shoes she had in the first Spider-Verse film. So they'd be quite thin enough that she could still do that. I used to love John Romita Jr.'s attention to detail when he'd have Peter Parker web slinging through New York, and he'd have his shoes taken off, and he'd be going barefoot, but his shoes would be tied up around his shoulder and his waist with the laces. I just thought that was really cool, and not something I thought of before, but since I've seen it, it's always the back of my head. Um, Not just because, oh yeah, um, he's wearing shoes, he can't stick to the walls now, whatever. More because I just thought it was really cool. I just thought it was really cool. It looked interesting. The silhouettes. I think he had when Straczynski was writing it on the whole Ezekiel storyline, where Peter and Ezekiel are swinging through Manhattan, and they both had their shoes wrapped up around them. I just thought that was really cool. Just really cool. And I hope the notifications are getting out to everyone. If the stream is something you're enjoying and you don't want to miss it, I just realized I drew the knuckles wrong there, just in case you think I was weird drawing that and rubbing it out. Maybe put on notifications, because I saw a friend of mine say he got a notification 14 hours after the stream had gone out live, and I wasn't still streaming 14 hours later. That would have been crazy. But yeah, it looks like if you're watching via Twitter and not on Twitch or YouTube, and there's an opportunity for you to miss it. So either swap over to one of the other platforms that I use, or maybe put me on alerts, just in case you do want to watch and catch a stream and not find out that you missed an opportunity to catch it live. And because when you do watch it live, you have a chance to ask me questions, the usual kind of stuff. And what brush do you use? What program do you use? All that stuff. This is, this is the opportunity. And thanks for the big response on the Fallout picture I did last week. It was a lot of fun to do, and everyone seemed to like it. That's awesome. Makes me want to do more. I've been tipping away on that show with my wife the last few days. Kind of started on Friday. I started a bit earlier because I wanted to know what the show was about before I was drawing any of the characters. And I rewatched the first episode with her on Friday, and I think we're 4 episodes in now, and it's just so good. Everything about it is just done the right way. I'm not a massive gamer. I used to game. I haven't. My Xbox is more of an Xbox now. It's something I see, not something I can turn on anymore. But it's a game I really enjoyed playing. I played Fallout 4 and a bit of New Vegas, and I love the lore behind it. I love the look, the feel, and the characters in the TV show aren't anyone we've seen in game before. It's a whole new story based in the same universe that we're all familiar with, and it's just so much fun. Um, I'm really enjoying it. I kind of get the feeling that there's a big movement away from comics and into computer games at the moment. I'm not for nor against it. I just want good material, and it's absolutely delivering. Like, is such a good show. Walton Goggins is just great and everything, and he seems to pick great shows to work in all the time. Like, he just seems to know. He has some instinct. What's going to be good? What's not going to be good? And I know I always say that I don't really use the paint bucket because it's an opportunity to put some textures on things. And when you start banking on putting in your bucket shaped bills, I kind of feel like you lose some of that. But for something like these, like I did with the Ben Grimm picture, um, it's a chance to kind of show how slick a costume feels. So I'm probably going to use it a bit tonight. Um, and I think for the first time ever on the stream, I've actually penciled something detailed enough that I know what the hell I'm drawing. Last week was quite hard because the power armor and Fallout is not something I'm very familiar with. Um, and after the stream, I remember closing down the drawing, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to see several faults here, and how did I miss that when I was on the stream?" But I didn't. I thought it was great, worked out. And then the following morning, when I logged back in to have a look at the picture, I went, "Oh my god, it's actually a model at all." I had to change a bunch of things. I also changed a bunch of things on Lucy. Um, I had her shoes wrong. I think what I had defaulted into was I drew the character I played when I played Fallout, so drew the wrong shoes almost entirely, and I had to go back and draw her vault dweller shoes. But yeah, great show. Really, really enjoying it. Um, Let us know in the comments if you're digging it too. Or if you're watching the new X-Men 97, wow, another great episode today. That's a show that I kind of wish I'd worked on now. Like, it's so, so good. Um, the team behind that really know what they're up to. They really know the characters too. I feel like they're really doing them just right. And one of the things about Gwen's costume is, I think there's kind of a gray fade or a washy thing on the eye part of her mask. So before I get to draw that, I'm going to Google that and make sure I render that correctly. So because Gwen is upside down, I usually darken the upper lip because light hitting that, this would be darker, this would be lighter. But because she's upside down, it would be the other way around. Also, when I was thinking about this, I realized like one of my favorite comic book characters ever is Spider-Man, and I haven't drawn him. Not only have I drawn him on the stream, but I don't think I've drawn him in some time. Um, so I might bump him up the list for drawing in a few future streams. But if there's anyone out there who'd like me to tackle someone who they like or they think I might do a good job of, again, let me know. You can kind of see that I'm between two minds here as to what eye in her mask I was going to draw. I'm going to do a quick save here because I've done one show and then this, and my computer hasn't had a chance to turn off and readjust. I'm just thinking, what if it crashed? And so I'm just going to save a bit more regularly here than you might usually see me do. And if it dies, don't worry. I don't think the computer's going to die. I think it might just crash Sketchbook if it does anything like that to me. But that's happened before, and I can pick right back up where we left off usually. But don't fret. Take seconds. We'll be going again. It was interesting doing the research for Gwen's outfit because she's a relatively new character in Spider-Man, in terms of Spider-Man and how long he's been going on for. But there's so many iterations and variations of her, but by so many other artists. It was really cool. Like who leaves in her cons and who who puts in the ballet shoes and what point do they draw kind of a spider, an actual spider out of her the design on this part, and they'll just kind of leave in very obscure almost shapes, kind of an idea of a spider as opposed to what it was initially. But all of it's really cool. Really cool. It reminded me when the variant covers for Godfell were coming in, and I could see everyone's different take on Zanzi, a character I designed, and that was just awesome because coming from animation, everyone has to draw the character the same way because you couldn't have a team somewhere drawing a character one way, and then hoping that it matches the character drawn by another team in another country somewhere, and these guys weren't talking to one another. It's just that would be a disaster. But comics kind of lets that. It kind of showboats that, it promotes that, it wants that. So to see other people's take on my character was just really cool, you know. Looked up a lot of free runners for these guys. I also have a gorilla pot. Where did I put it? There it is. These guys, if you ever get stuck working on a pose and you can't get the right reference or you can't figure it out, get yourself one of these. They're only about 20 quid on Amazon. Stick your phone here and you can put it just about any angle you want. So it'll help you out when you need it. I love it. It's given me an awful lot of help. There'd be some idea of a pose I have in my mind, and I know it'll look good if I did it this way. And the second I go to draw, it's something about the pose isn't right, and I could be back and forth over it way longer than I should be. and I will then take out my Quill Pod, I'll pose it out, I'll take a picture, and I'll immediately realize what was wrong. Um, sometimes it's, an arm wouldn't actually bend all the way back like that, or it would have to go forward, or the shoulder is more forward, or the shoulder is more back, something like that. And instead of possibly getting it wrong, or just settling because the deadline's coming, the little piece of kit makes sure I can get it right. And I recommend them a lot. They're really good. I feel like a lot of what I do on this is recommending things I use. Let me know if they actually work out for you guys. Character I'd love to do that I'm really enjoying reading at the moment is Erica Slaughter. I think that'll be a lot of fun. If you haven't been reading There's Something Killing the Children, check it out. It's really good. And also, when you do take your photo reference, don't trace it. Like, find out what the problem was when you were struggling with the pose, and then go back and design it or apply it to the character design. When people are kind of referencing from toys, or doing something like taking the legs of a figure skater and then the arms of an Olympian acrobat or something, and like it all looks weird, and you end up with a pose that's just distracting more than it is interesting, and you have an opportunity then to like lose your audience. So these days, you have a mobile phone going off a few minutes in that person's pocket. If in any way what they see on the phone is remotely more interesting to what you were doing, you've lost them forever. So yeah, you gotta watch out for things like that. If you break the illusion for people, um, it's a big mess up on your half, and you will struggle, and you should try as hard as you can to win your audience back. Um, it's going to come in here. I don't want that the tangent there. I don't want the tangent there either. I might fix that a little bit so we can avoid faux pas. Here we go. And I'm kind of going back and forth here, one hand, opposing leg. Right, that's a bit distracting. I actually have no idea why I did that, but just felt right. I do it again. Usually at the end of the drawings, I do a bit of a tangent and line weight sweep. Did a little bit there, working on her hand. Excuse me. I'm putting off drawing the shoes because details. All right, let's get into it. Will I do? I'm gonna draw the webbing first. So I was a Spider-Man fan from the 90s, really, and that spaghetti webbing was the webbing I saw in the comics, and I loved it. So that's what I drew here, and it looks, quite complicated and detailed and tricky and takes a while. It kind of is, you can actually get away with just some very gestural lines and enough to reinforce a shape of something that doesn't take you all day to do. And for any aspiring artist out there, if you want to be a pro, do the work right, but you have to make sure you can hit your deadlines. There's a whole team of people that come right after you, and you don't want to be the reason why they have to leave and go do something else. You know, so if you're going to go and be ambitious and do something that might be testing your deadline a bit more, make sure that it's on your time and not on someone else's. Making the job far more doable um, than just something awesome. That's part of being pro. You also don't want to always be blowing your audience away. Like try and keep your wow shot for wow moments. So as I said, I always remember in Black Swan where Natalie Portman's character is like getting the scissors and just beating and scouring the absolute life out of her shoes, so she can move her feet better as a dancer. And I just thought that might be kind of cool here. Really have the end of Gwen's shoes just ragged almost. Might just take lumps out of them. Yeah, I think I will. And again, you're working in a team. Run that by your colorist. It might be something they throw a few color holds on, just make the entire thing look just a bit worn and used and abused. Not the cool classic souls you expect to see at the bottom of a pair of cons, but art shucks, whatever you say from wherever or whatever part of the world you're from. Um, but I like it. I only kind of thought of it when I was working on this, and again, purely because big John Romita Jr. fan, and always loved the idea that if Spidey was out of costume and had to swing around the city, he had to tie his shoes around his body so his foot could make contact with the wall, so he could climb. Again, be gestural. Don't have to be too tight about this stuff. Like I was kind of saying, maybe it wasn't last week, and I was saying it, maybe it was the week before, but you kind of get brownie points for being brave with your line quality and your spot blacks. So try and be brave, embrace it, go for it. I guess the worst thing about getting it wrong is you just rub it out and do it again. It's not so bad. But I was amazed with the Spider-Man films. Um, I thought they were better than they had any right to be. So good. Not that they didn't have a right to be good, but just that I wasn't expecting them to be, one of the best films I ever seen. Good. And as I was looking at the iterations of Gwen, I was also looking at the iterations of Miles Morales, and I was really torn because I think when he's wearing his shorts and the jacket and the hood and all that stuff, it's much more fun. It looks way cooler than his actual suit. And yeah, something about that stuff really lent itself quite well to the look and feel of who he is too. Without that stuff, it's still cool. Like his costume's still great. Um, I think he's wearing all the coats and stuff. It's just really awesome. Because I was always of the opinion that Miles's costume in the comics, technically, like probably his like as Spider-Man costumes go, it's one of the best. Um, and Cody Ziegler's on with Miles with oh God, I should be shot now. Pacienti. He's an Italian artist. I'm murdering his name. I'm saying his name wrong. I can't remember. I can't remember it. I might look it up here when I'm going to Google Gwen's costume. But their run on Miles is incredible. Looks amazing. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, it's a Cody Ziegler, so it is a lot of fun. But really good. If you're not reading that, that's one to go check out. Especially if you're a Spidey fan like me. Would yeah, that'll be one right for you. It's really great stuff. Real Spider-Man at the heart of everything kind of stuff. I was at two lines with the laces where I just kind of draw an outline shape, or would I actually draw a lace and stuff in front of one another? When I put this picture up tomorrow, that might be something I might have changed my mind about. I'm just gonna move these. I don't want that tangenting. I don't know if any of the guys from the Odd Stream join me over here. Let me know if you did and if you like the new live odd show. First time we've had video on us, and first time we've been well, apart from our live show at Top Bubble last year. Um, but yeah, let us know if you were over there and if you liked it. Maybe let us know if there's something else you would like to see. No, that's okay. Leave it there. I haven't played the Spider-Man games on the PlayStation because I have an Xbox. Um, but I've seen a lot of the gameplay, and I love how they had a very distinctive web slinging style between Peter and between Miles. It was something I kind of had in mind when I was drawing this. I kind of thought that kind of like it's kind of cool to see Miles do it. Miles is just cool. Peter's more of an acrobat. Um, Gwen is more kind of more like a dancer, you know. Um, Action maybe more kind of action hero-y. Would you say Miles is kind of sloppy almost? Just really cool. Whatever it is, just deadly. Um, but I love that they went that far into the characters. That they don't just all web sling this way. It very much depends on who they are and their whole approach to everything they do is conveyed in the way that they web sling. That's cool. All right, the other two. Excuse me. If you're tuning in for the first time, you can catch all these streams on my YouTube channel. And if you don't have the time to watch a 2 hour thing, I have little edits that are about 6 and 7 minutes long of the entire thing where you can see the entire process, speed it up with a kind of some kind of music behind it. Uh, you just missed the opportunity to ask a question. Okay, so how did I have her tie her laces? I think it was this one in front. And like Hans are kind of a very canvassy runner, so you can really You don't have to draw it like with these flush lines. You can give it a bit of folds and creases, and it all kind of helps inform the audience, like why is this material, Totally spaced by your stream this morning. No worries. Thanks for stopping by, Sean. Hope you're keeping well. Anyone looking at the comments, Sean, B Studios there, he has a stream as well. There's loads of stuff. Check him out. It's really cool. Ah, very good. Getting the first kind of page done is always just feels good, doesn't it? Feels like a bit of progress has been made. Oh, nice. Will it go straight from pencils to colors, or will you be inking it in between? People who don't know the process would usually back in the day was pencils, then inks, then color, and lettering. I'll be nice, good stuff. Question for you, Sean. Did you ever have that fear of inking? Should you ever just want the pencil, or were you happy just to get straight into inking? Still terrifies you, yeah. I get that. You draw mostly digitally, though, right, Sean? Yeah, I find that if you're figuring out how to ink, I think doing it digitally takes away some of that fear. Probably a good place to start because the undo button is a handy thing to have. Um, and you're right, definitely do keep the traditional skills up because they'll help inform your digital skills. And that's why I like using Sketchbook here. This program gives me nothing that I can't get or can't do traditionally. It's just called adding a layer instead of lightboxing stuff. Um, but like trying to figure out where your spot blacks are. Um, One little thing I always kind of found that worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for you. It might not. Your work is different. Maybe it will. So I'll say it anyway. Is I try to think graphically, not that I have to obey the rule of perspective and lighting and make sure that my shadows are rendered in accordance to how this light is shining upon it, and just going graphically with some stuff really helped. Yeah, when I have more time to spend on a piece, yeah, Bristol board's the way to go, especially if you're going to go inking. I have about 3 pads on the go. Um, a Bristol pad for commissions, um, notebook for myself that I might doodle in, and a sketchbook for myself that I definitely doodle in, that hasn't seen much action in a while. I've just been so busy. Like usually, even when I'm busy, I keep it just over here, and I would tip away on it. It might take me a week or 2 weeks to finish a drawing, because I might just do a little bit after a meeting, or if it's one of those meetings where I don't end up saying a whole lot, I get a lot more drawn. Um, but yeah, I try to keep a few at hand just so I can keep doing something, and then later on, I have a when I'm looking for something to draw, and I can't think of anything, I can go back to my book and I say, "Oh yeah, that was a good idea. I'll give a go of that one tonight." That kind of stuff. I think I was to indulge more in some of the nice. Yeah, I would say you're definitely more of a manging stuff. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. There's from an old sketchbook I had, I did a kind of it started as a warm up and ended up being something I poured too much time into, over rendered, kind of lost shape of it, and kind of ruined it really, to be honest. It wasn't a great drawing in my sketchbook, but I really liked the idea of it, and that idea haunted me until I could eventually spend some time to sit down and draw properly. Actually, if you're watching on Twitch, I think it's on Twitch. I have a picture of Grog Strongjaw from Critical Role, and in my notebook, it was a pretty ropey, used too much Tipex, even line weights all over the place. But the idea of Grog standing there with holding his axe with his back tattoo, back facing us, was just something I just really wanted to do. And then, there came a day where I got through something a little faster than I thought. I really needed to draw something for myself that wasn't work for hire, or I was just going to crack up, and referred to the book, and I immediately found that one and did that. But yeah, like if you can keep those things around you all the time, so you have a constant source of something to draw, it really helps. I was only talking about Dragon Ball Z there this afternoon. It's not something I kind of missed it, and my mates who were very into it um, were so far ahead of me with it. I kind of just never got into it. Um, Same with Final Fantasy. Like there's not many things in the whole nerddom that I have like of all the nerd potholes I've fallen into, they've been one or two that I haven't um, got into as much. Like for a number of years, I was saying uh, Vegata instead of Vegeta, which I think is his name. I'm just not familiar enough at all. Um, Drawn them a couple of times. I think they're really cool designs, actually. I don't know enough about it, and I got Crunchyroll recently. Catching up on a number of things that I really do enjoy, and I gave Dragon Ball a whirl, and I immediately felt like there's a whole world of things I've missed out on. Like I saw Goku had a tail when he was younger and stuff. I wonder what the hell's going on. Is that the same guy? Every day, yeah. Good shows. I mean, I could see that. I'm catching up on Attack on Titan still. Um, I I went back to the very start to watch it in its entirety because I haven't seen the final season, and I just love that stuff. I just love it. Leon, was no, hang on, Levi, Leon. Levi was actually the first character I drew on the stream. Sandland. What's that? Yeah, his tail cut off. Oh god, that sounds rough. Yeah, I hear you with TV shows versus film, especially with something like Dragon Ball. because it seems to have such a rich canon, a huge storyline over multiple timelines, really. That I think a film can only kind of give you a part of it, and hopefully get you hooked enough that you go and check out the TV show. Um, but I'll check out the film. Yeah, I saw bits of the game, like a fighting game. It looks great. Yeah, and those designs are just kind of cool. A friend of mine in college was a big fan of it, and there was always just these interesting shapes around eyes and cheeks, and things I would have tried not to do that he ended up making quite appealing. You know. Let me just zoom out and have a quick look at this. How we doing? Doing all right. On the notice spot blacks, I'm going to do my spot blacks at the end of this. I think I'll get her drawn and then I'll put them in. I won't do them as I'm giving away on the character. There's a brush I want to play with um, a bit, so we can get a bit more of a gradient on Gwen's costume. Um, we'll see if it works out. Yeah, I don't have a lot of aspects for film. There's definitely a lot of in this from him and how. Yeah, it's funny how you see these influences from folks you admire so much, but maybe other people don't see it in your work at all. You know, um, I'm a massive, absolutely massive, colossal Umberto Ramos fan, and so much so I had to put away his work for a couple of years. I still collected it. I just didn't open it. I had to. I was kind of promising myself that I would look at his work when I feel like I've moved away enough from his work that I've earned it. Um, because I was just there were similar shapes that I was discovering that he had already found a use and an aesthetic look for. That was just falling into the same patterns he was using. So I just had to put his stuff away. I didn't want to be a watered down version of him because I'll only ever be that. I wanted to be something very much my own, and I think now, um, I think it will be hard to see his influence on my stuff. I hope it is. I hope it's something very unique and mostly myself. But yeah, like he was such an inspiration. Still is. Still is. Right. Hang on. Let's look up her eye because that was something I was talking about that I think is kind of um it's kind of a like a dry brush, I think, as opposed to like a tight line that they have for the likes of like Peter or yeah, it is dry brush. So kind of yeah, okay. That's how we want to do that. Yeah, thanks a mil, Sean. Really appreciate you hanging in there. Yeah, Roberto Ramos is just he's just unreal. But thanks for checking in again. Always good to hear from you, man. So because will I use this one? Or will I use this one? The lighter one. I'm going to do it on a different layer. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to. Would that brush be nicer? It might be. It might be too faint. Might be the one to do. Okay. Bear with me here. Think it out loud. Dangerous. Oh. Thinking. Okay. Just checking something out here. This might not work. Just an effect. I think it might work. But that's one of the joys of working digitally. If I find it doesn't work, I've ruined nothing. It's affected no other part of the drawing. Thanks, man. Have a good day. Yeah, I think that kind of works. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Delete the pencil. Does it still work? It does. Hey, got it. Yep. All right. Don't overthink these things either. If it works, it works. Doesn't, it doesn't. You kind of know straight away. Again, you get points for being brave, so just go for it. Now, on the point of being brave, I had something I wanted to try with her costume. Yep, okay. That looks like it's what I want it to be. That's selected. Get my paint bucket, hit the gradient. I want it to be black. And again, the light source is up here. Get started going that way. This might not work. Maybe it is just better to do it as a fill. Might be. I just want to see. Um, yeah, I think I will make it a fill. Not as good idea as I thought it was going to be, but this is again, just worth checking out. Now I'm just thinking, is that correct? I think that line might be a bit off. I think it should go like that. I see less of it. Yeah, there you go. That's better. Perfect. Don't want to do that just yet though, but it is working. I'm using my paint bucket because it is a sheeny, shiny costume she kind of has. I don't want to have much texture, gradients, and kind of gruffness to it. I want it looking pretty slick. Okay, so there's Gwen. In case I do something ridiculous, I'm going to lock that, open up rough pencils again, and get into mild. again. So the light source on him, because he's not upside down, is a bit more traditional. So shadows can land under the neck again, that kind of stuff. And one thing I didn't realize when I was working on his outfit, his costume in the film doesn't have any webbing on it. I thought it did. Just makes it a lot easier to do, doesn't it? Unlike Gwen's costume, I think I'm probably going to throw in the spot blacks with Miles as I go because it's such a big part of his costume. Like otherwise, I'm just drawing an outline basically. Um, it'll also indicate to me so whether or not it's working or if I need to do something else. Like I can already see that that was actually a call I made on my pencils that I forgot about. So years ago, I was watching Jim Lee do a drawing, and he said something that just made so much sense to me. It was about he was drawing someone's nose, and he said something about not actually drawing the nose, but drawing the shadow that's cast from the nose. And yeah, I had done a bit of that, but when he said it out loud, something kind of clicked with me. And the idea of using shadow to try and describe um, anatomy was something I hadn't really given enough attention to. So it is something I've been thinking about ever since. So you'll see me here try and give an idea of Miles's anatomy, his body parts, where they're falling, without drawing in lines of muscles, that kind of stuff, and just try to render the shadow instead. Um, it can be Just a lot of fun to kind of figure it out on the fly. And again, remember, because the shoot's kind of shiny, so you can put in sheeny, shiny stuff now and again. And while I was Googling Gwen, I was going to look up the artist's name because I want to get it right. He's really good. I don't want to just forget about it. So, what is his name? He's brilliant. He's just brilliant. Vincent. Am I going to say his name wrong? I wonder if I can even read it and get it right. Like, I come from a country of Murphys and Doyles. I can say Murphy and I can say Doyle. Anything other than that, I'm rolling the dice. Vicentini Federico Vicentini. He's amazing. If you're not aware of him, check him out. He's mind-blowingly good. Probably one of the best spider artists currently working. Um, he just gets everything. Gets the person, gets the action. Um, he's just brilliant. Oops. Hmm. Nah, I don't like that. Get out of here. Again, some of the mark making here will describe the volume and shape of the arm, and some will let us know that it's teeny, shiny material. So, oh, and one thing I haven't done or said yet that I really should have. Um, there's a whole bunch of prints. There's new merch. There's a whole bunch of loads of stuff on my website, Bennessy.com. Please go check it out. I did an X-Men 97 print. So, a friend of mine actually, Dan, asked for it. And I think when he asked for it, a bunch of other people said, like, oh, yeah, I'd like one of those too. And there was great response to the print. And it was of Gambit and Rogue um, beating up a Sentinel. Classic X-Men. Um, it was based off a commission initially, but I didn't want to do a print of the commission because there's lots of personal things that the client who commissioned it had in it, and I would have felt like I've done them a disservice leaving them in and trying to sell that. So changed it up a little bit. I think you can see a TikTok video or something I did, where or an Insta reel, where you can see the original commission to the now changed and different print. Again, you would have heard me talk about hands when I had Dave Hendrick from The Odds on the show with me, um, and how I like to have that index finger up or something like that when I'm drawing hands, just so I can break the pose up a little bit, make it a bit more interesting. Sometimes, kind of like in screen or stage fighting, or it might not be the correct maneuver or the correct way to do a thing. It would be the most appealing way I think looks. Sometimes break rules and things to do that. You just gotta know when. Oops, that's the wrong one. And remember line weight. So this hand is in front of the leg. So that line should be pretty thick, and it should actually be pretty. It should be thicker than the one above it too, because this is the one that the light's hitting, so it should be kind of thin. Um, Things to think about when you're putting your drawing together. There's a great drawing. I think I've said it a few times. Done by I think it was Sargent. I should look it up so I know if it's actually done by him or not, because I've said it so many times here. But he drew an elephant, and the picture of an elephant had loads of heavy rendered lines for the elephant's belly, and up top of the elephant, his back and its head was a single line, really faint single line that didn't join in the middle. It was left open, so you really got a sense of the light hitting it, and yeah, that kind of stuff really helps inform your drawing. And again, like what I was talking about earlier, anything you can do to keep people in that illusion of life, that the act, the story, is really worth doing. Um, Getting your audience is hard fought enough without you doing something to lose them. So it's good to be able to identify what's helpful and what's something you can kind of just forget about and get rid of. Excuse me. Couple of podcasts tonight, though. The voice is starting to go a bit scritchy. Again, no like webbing on this Miles's suit, but God, still a lot of fun to draw. Like there's still like in the show, he's so lean. He's got a tiny waist and these massive shoulders, so it lends to this really, really big silhouette. Everyone's silhouette in the Spider-Verse is so good. They're all so very different. They're all so identifiable immediately. Um, they're a fantastic example of what it is to not just study but really execute character design at such a high level. So it's just gone 10:30. Stream usually goes for about 2 hours. Um, we'll see how we're doing here by about 11. I think will be close to finished. You can kind of see, I think, like as I'm going along here, um, why I put in the fills on Miles' suit and didn't on Gwen's. Just how important it is when you're using the light and where the shadows will be cast to help build your pose versus something that kind of has it in just graphically. I think it was PJ Holden, an Irish artist you should really check out if you don't know his work. He's brilliant. But he had this great line on Twitter one day where he said something to the effect of, I'm certain I could put a few lines down in the middle of someone's leg randomly and it would still look like a knee. It's like, yeah, I get you. I understand. Wrong shape there. Doesn't really form the volume of the test. There we go. I'm just making sure all my lines are closed because I do want to use the paint bucket here. and be a bit kind of quick with Miles's icon. It doesn't need to be as symmetrical or perfect as many other superheroes. It's kind of looks like it's sprayed on. So some lines will be thin, some lines will be thick. And it's kind of part of his character. So don't forget that and kind of go into default perfect S on a chest mode or that kind of, like Batman's bat symbol is perfectly symmetrical, and so is Superman's S, and even Spidey's spider in the middle of his chest. Like it's all very graphically perfect. Whereas Miles is a bit um kind of off, free-handed, energetic. So I always wonder, like, would these heroes make an absolute fortune if they were just to go into fashion and advertising? You know, they're all really good at making their homemade costumes and building a brand. We're really good at this stuff. Mr. Calling and advertising. Wasted here in this realm of people who save people's lives. Just wasted. Again, like if you've ever used like a can to spray paint anything, some of the lines can get really splotchy. It's quite difficult to get really good and precise with it. Um, so you don't have to get too precise with these. I don't think anyway. In my opinion, you don't have to. Wrong line. There we go. See, so that should actually follow through into there as well. Whoops. Again, thank God we're working digitally. Easy fix. Just gonna make that one kind of shiny as opposed to the same kind of mark making we did over here. That kind of twinning, even that I'd consider twinning, and it can just kind of kill some liveliness that you've managed to win back from your pencils. So you will lose that energy when you go to inks, but if you're smart enough with your inks, you'll capture a different kind of energy. Sometimes the drawings just kind of come alive when you put the ink in the right spots. Something I think is really good, a kind of choice mark making that gets some of the best um, effect out of the ink who I've mentioned a number of times again. You know, we kind of worship at the Church of Chris Samney here. He's brilliant, but he gets it right every time. If you're not familiar, it's the one you need to go to and familiarize yourself with. He is fantastic. Um, the choices he makes in his designs are just phenomenal. I don't know how he can leave so much unfigured out, and still arrive at something so pristine, um, artistically correct, um, amazingly appealing. He's just one of the best there ever was, really. Because Miles' shoulders are so big in the film, you want to make sure I got them kind of right here. Making them as big as I can without making him look like he's like been lifting weights for 40 years. you know, it's tricky. Let's zoom out. There's a few people kind of in, so we'll check out where we are with this. I like where it's going so far. Brilliant. We'll keep going. Guys, good fun drawing some Spidey characters. It's been a while for me. It used to be all I draw. Such a massive Spidey fan. Not very happy where that line is coming in, so it's going to move it like that. I think I'm definitely going to try and paint this up over the next few weeks. And there's a few pieces I really want to have a go at now. I started that Fallout piece that I did last week. Haven't had a chance to nearly get close to even finishing it though. But um, also I posted up a piece where a friend of mine took a whack at coloring the Jinx commission I did. Actually, the person who ordered that commission was made redundant just as I finished that commission and was unable to pay for it. So if anyone would like it, I'll be adding it to the Bennessy store soon. I haven't got around to it yet. There's examples of it on my Instagram and my Twitter. If you'd like it, it'll be going up there. It's 150 euros. And I'm going to take a stab at coloring that and making a print out of that one as well. But if you want the original, a traditional piece on paper, it is there for the taking. Oh, is that what that was? Yep. Let's. It was more. I thought it was a weird shape for me to finish the webbing on, a kind of a big blob. Um, Usually I'd have it kind of fade away like a piece of like a couple of strands of webbing, as opposed to just a lot of it. Actually, I want that kind of mark making there. Couple of tangents there I wasn't happy with. However small they might actually be, didn't like it. Getting rid of it. End off. I always do little specks of dirt kicking off people's shoes and stuff. Um, I always have a system for it. It's always two close together and one far away. Um, Nothing particularly brilliant about it. I think it just adds a little something to the action. Coming up to 11. We did start a little later though. We are actually only an hour and a half in. Thanks to everyone who was patient enough to wait for me to finish from my other podcasts, my other show, The Odds Pod. we're back up and moving with that again. So apocalypses are kind of your cup of tea. This is the podcast for you. You can catch us on all good podcast um, broadcasters, broadcasters. Wherever you get your podcast, you'll find the Ozpod. We have a bunch of episodes. Usually it was a guest we'd have come in, join us, and we'd talk about their favorite apocalypse. But now we're changing the format up a little bit, where it'll be myself and Dave for the most part, and the odd guest will join us. Yeah, okay. The buildings. So I kept it pretty simple. It's just 1 point perspective. Um, oh, hang on. I want to do something with Miles before I move on there. The paint bucket. Because some of those lines would have gone all the way to the edge. Now it will. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Lock them up. Do the buildings. Okay. These buildings here, there's only a little touch of them just so you could kind of get a sense as to where Miles and Gwen were. But I really wanted that negative space, a lot of negative space around them, so plenty of room for a sky color in there. Because if you get kind of muddy, cluttery with loads of buildings and things in your image, you can end up with something that won't really stand out. And you kind of want to stand out. If you go down to the likes of the Big Bang today, any comic book shop today on a Wednesday, new comic book day, you'll have a million other comics, tons of colors all over the place, each one trying to battle the other one to stand out and get your attention so you buy that comic. But I often find that the ones that have a better chance of getting your eye and keeping your eye are the ones that use almost just a very plain color. Scotty Young is really good at it. He does a lot of white on his covers. And lots of people started using white. And I think the trick is to kind of find out and kind of guess it a bit as to what might be a color that no one else will use that week or use as much with their own book. When we were on Godfell, we used a lot of yellow on our covers, and yeah, I would recommend keeping your comic book cover palettes simple for better effect. So it's 1 point perspective. Um, there's all the horizontals are on the same line, and the verticals will be on the same as well. I'll do all those, and then um, because the vanishing point was so far off the page, and I penciled this like yesterday, Um, I'm just going to loosely put it in, um, according to these, maybe with a ruler, as opposed to opening up the perspective tool here in Sketchbook and using that. That's one thing I wish they would do, in a backup, where if you use a perspective tool, that it saves where you left your points, your vanity points. I think that'd be brilliant. That'd really help. I wish they'd contact me. I have so many ideas what they could be doing, things that would be so helpful. Like there was a lovely navigation tool in Photoshop. So when you were zoomed in and you wouldn't really able to see your line weight properly, you could like open up that navigator bar, another tool on the screen, and see your entire image and see if your line weights were going the way they should. And something like that in Sketchbook would just be brilliant. It's already a great program. I'm obviously sold. I think I tell everyone who comes on the stream to go buy it. It's really good. Um, but love a few little tweaks on a couple of little things, and it would be perfect. Okay, I think that might be everybody. I do love the ruler in Sketchbook as well. It gives you such variety in the line. You don't just have to do this dead, obvious, boring um, digital line. It's just like it just feels like paper, Like I said it again and again. This program does not give you anything that you can't do traditionally, and I really like that about it. It meant I didn't really have to learn anything. I could almost just pick up and go. I mean, how appealing is that when you initially don't even want to go into a digital drawing? You just want to draw. I wanted to animate classically on paper, and that wasn't feasible. It wasn't enough work. Didn't feel like going hungry, and had to pick this up pretty quick. And this program just lent itself to me very well. It suited me very well. It still does. But I really recommend it. If it's a program you haven't played with before, it's brilliant. Check it out. Too heavy. There we go. I made a mistake. That should go there. I bet that should go there then. Let's rub them out before I get lost on what I'm doing and make a mistake when I go to join them later on. Now I made a mistake there. Let's go over here instead. Don't like that. Ruin that. Should be straight. There we go. A few people kind of joining us in there at the end. Thank you very much. I'll zoom out now and give you a look at what we're doing. We're nearly finished. So I usually wouldn't freehand those things, but I won't tell anyone if you won't. Okay, ruler again. Was the wrong color. Should do these windows here first. Sorry, microphone. Okay, I think that's it. Turn off the rough. I'm gonna put all these together now. And get in here on my border. Magic wand. Get rid of the border. Go to the layer that I drew on. Select inverse. Delete. That just kind of keeps everything within that square. But there we go. There is Miles. There is Gwen. Wrong way around though. There we go. That's more like it. I had a lot of fun working on that one. What are we? 154. So still about 2 hours. Yeah, really happy with that. For everyone that stayed on, thanks a million. For putting up with me being late as well. We're going to move the other show to another day. It won't always happen. I'll be back on time again next week. And let us know if there's someone you'd like me to draw next week as well. I'm absolutely up for taking requests. Yeah, there we go. Miles and Gwen from Into the Spiderverse. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow me on the socials. You'll see a lot more of these things in progress. And what I'm going to do on the day if you do. But yeah, there we go. Thanks very much. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.